Hi.
This is George from 8 Fire One, and I'm going to be talking about the catastrophic disease smallpox and how the Industrial Revolution has solved this problem.
During the Industrial Revolution, there were a few different diseases that were passed around, many fatal, but not so harmful. The disease that I'm going to be talking about is the fatal disease smallpox. This disease was originated from Egypt in the 1750s BC and was passed down into India within the first millennium BC, then into China during the first century AD. After this, it spread back into Europe in the 17th and 12th century. This caused the worldwide spread of the disease. The disease wouldn't have killed and spread as much as it did if the Industrial Revolution didn't happen, which is why I think the Industrial Revolution was good and bad for the UK. This spread and killed so many people at the time because of the extremely high population growth of the time, very dirty and unhygienic slums, which spread all across England, and little to no knowledge about the diseases and how to treat them. This led to mass spread of various diseases such as cholera, typhoid, typhus, and many others. Cholera, typhoid, typhus, and smallpox are only amongst the worst diseases of the time. The most infested cities were the less developed of all time, which made the disease spread more and kill even more. It has killed over 300 million people just in the 19th century. The disease caused so many deaths because of toxemia, which is a blood poisoning from bacteria. The variola virus has caused a worldwide endemic all over the world for the past 3,000 years, for all we know, and it has been a huge threat to mankind. Until the man, the legend, the one and only Edward Jenner. But seriously though, Edward has discovered something that was completely revolutionary and has saved millions of lives all around the world since his discovery of vaccination. He noticed that a few milkmaids were immune to smallpox no matter how exposed they were to the disease. He discovered that this is because they were milkmaids. They were around cows a lot. During that time, cowpox was another disease that is very similar to smallpox, but would not harm humans. The milkmaids that have been afflicted by cowpox would be immune to smallpox, which was a very interesting and revolutionary discovery for Edward Jenner. He then tested his theory out on kids and a few people, and as proven, he then submitted a paper to the government in 1797 telling them about his theory and his experiments, but they did not believe him as they thought it was too revolutionary, and England at the time were not very open to suggestions of the public, as they did not want to admit that people from the public are correct while the government was wrong. He then tested his theory on many other adults and kids, including his own 11-month-old son at the time, and all of them lived, which then resulted in the government agreeing with his discovery. The way vaccines work is that you get injected with a small, weak dose of the live virus so that your immune system can develop the right bacteria and cells to help defeat the virus. This will let the cells get ready for any other attack from the same virus, which will let you become immune to the disease. Eventually, the vaccine will spread all across the world thanks to the World Health Organization. There were quite a few downsides though due to relying on the World Health Organization to provide vaccines to everybody. A few of the downsides are, for example, more developed countries such as England or China would have higher priority in getting the vaccines first than less developed countries such as Nepal or Afghanistan. And typically, less developed countries are even more populated than more developed countries, which means that there will be more deaths and more spread of disease, even when the vaccines are already being given out. Another downside is that the World Health Organization will need quite a long time to collect samples for the entire world, which means a lot of samples will be needed. This meant that even after the discovery of vaccines, people still had to wait quite a long time before they could receive the vaccination. Before the discovery of the vaccine, there were still many different ways doctors and people have attempted to treat people who got smallpox. One of the more well-known ones was Dr. Sydenham's attempt. What he tried to do was leave patients in a room with no fire, windows open permanently, and have blankets no higher than the patient's waist, and administering 12 bottles of small beers every 24 hours. This treatment was quite effective, but death rates were still extremely high. The vaccine was a very popular solution since it was very effective in giving the patient around 3 to 5 years of his or her first vaccination. The way vaccinations have worked and still work today is by injecting a less harmful and watered down version of the disease into animals, such as rats, rabbits, or chicken. If the vaccine worked, they would inject the vaccine into a human, which will be very effective 95% of the time. 5% of people who have received vaccination will either get very sick or even die if their immunity system is very poor. This meant that even though vaccines should work almost all the time, sometimes if you're extremely weak or have bad immunity system, there is a chance that you're still going to die. In conclusion, I think that the Industrial Revolution has caused the medical industry to become much more advanced due to the changes in how people look at different aspects of the world. Thank you for watching my video.